Shalom Aleichem, Mishpochim. We are in a new reading, third Aliyah of the portion of Mikeitz. And this is Rashi on the Torah. This is the book of Genesis. Third portion is chapter 41, verse 39 through 52. And this is my art scroll, Rashi Chumash. Torah up here, Rashi commentary down on the bottom. 39. Let us begin. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Since God has informed you of all this, there is no one so deserving and wise as you. You shall be over my house, and by your command shall all my people be sustained. Only by the throne shall I outrank you." Verse 39. Rashi. There is no one so discerning and wise as you. As for looking for a discerning and wise man, of which you spoke, we will not find one like you. This is rendered by Targum Onkelos as, which means, will be sustained. All the needs of my people will be carried out through you. It is like the steward of my house, and like, supply yourselves with food in Old French, garnison. Only by the throne, that they should call me king. Throne. This expresses the status of the kingship, as in, and he will make his throne greater than the throne of my master, the king. Verse 41, Torah. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "See, I have placed you in charge of all the land of Egypt." Verse 41, Rashi. I have placed you in charge. Literally, I have given you. This is to be understood as Targum Onkelos renders it. I have appointed you. But nonetheless, its basic sense is giving, that I have given you, as in, and to appoint you as supreme, whether for greatness or for lowliness. The expression applies to it as in, I have put you disgraced and lowly. Verse 42, Torah. And Pharaoh removed his ring from upon his hand and put it on Joseph's hand. He then had him dressed in garments of linen, and he placed a gold chain upon his neck. Verse 42, Rashi. And Pharaoh removed his ring. The giving of the king's ring is a sign for the one to whom the king gives it, to be second to the king regarding his position of greatness. Garments of fine linen. It is an item of importance in Egypt. Chain. This means necklace, because it is made of rings arranged side by side. It is called chain. Similarly, I don't know Hebrew. I arranged my bed with contiguous patterns. We find a related word in the language of the Mishnah, surrounded by rows of stone, and on a row of stones that was in the courtyard. It is a floor made of rows of stone. Verse 43, Torah. And he had him ride in his second chariot, and they proclaimed before him, Avrech, and he appointed him over all the land of Egypt. Verse 43, Rashi. In his second chariot, the second in rank to his own chariot, the chariot that goes along next to his, Avrech. This is to be understood as Targum Onkelos renders it. This one is a pattern of the king, the patron of the king. In the Aramaic language, means king, as in the chapter Ha-Shutafim, neither king nor son of a king. And in words of Agada, in Agadic literature, the Tana, Rabbi Yehuda, expounded the word as follows. The word here refers to Joseph, for he is a father in terms of wisdom, yet tender in years. The Tana, Rabbi Yossi ben Damascus, said to him, "How long are you going to corrupt scripture to us?" The word here is related to nothing but the word needs. For everyone shall enter and exit by his authority, as it says, and he appointed him over all the land of Egypt. Verse 44, Torah. Pharaoh said to Joseph, I am Pharaoh, and without you no man may lift up his hand or his foot in all the land of Egypt. Verse 45, Pharaoh called Joseph's name Zephanet Paneach, and he gave him Asenath, daughter of Potiphar, chief of On, for a wife. Thus Joseph emerged over the land of Egypt. Verse 44. Rashi, I am Pharaoh. By stating this seemingly obvious point, Pharaoh meant to say that I have the wherewithal to issue a decree upon my kingdom. And I decree that no man may lift up his hand without you, that is, without your permission. Alternatively, I am Pharaoh implies I will be king, but without you, etc. This statement is along the lines of only by the throne shall I outrank you. But Pharaoh had to state it again explicitly at the time of the giving of the ring to Joseph. His hand or his foot, this is to be understood as Targum Onkelos renders it. Verse 45. Rashi, Zafenat Paneh. This means decipherer of the cryptic. There is nothing, no word, similar to this in Scripture. This word right here in Hebrew. Patifera, he is Potiphar, but he is called Patifera here because he became impotent by himself, because he desired Joseph for homosexual relations. Verse 46, Torah. And Joseph was 30 years old when he stood before Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Joseph left Pharaoh's presence, and he passed through the entire land of Egypt. Verse 47, Torah. The land produced by handfuls during the 7 years of abundance. He gathered all food of the 7 years that came to pass in the land of Egypt, and he placed food in the cities. The food of the field that was around each city he placed within it. Verse 47. Rashi, the land produced. This is to be understood as Targum Onkelos renders it. But the word here is not disconnected with its basic meaning of doing. By handfuls, handful over handful, little by little, did they store away. Verse 48. Rashi, the food of the field that was around each city he placed within it. For each and every land preserves its fruits. And therefore they put into the produce some of the soil of the place in which it grew. And it preserves the produce against rotting. Verse 49. Torah, Joseph amassed grain like the sand of the sea. Very much he ceased counting, for there is no number. Verse 50. Torah, now to Joseph were born 2 sons, when the year of famine had not yet set in, whom Asenath, daughter of Potiphar, chief of On, bore to him. Joseph called the name of the firstborn Manasseh, for God has made me forget all my hardship and all my father's household. 52. And the name of the second he called Ephraim, for God has made me fruitful in the land of my suffering. Verse 49. Rashi. Until he ceased counting. Until the counter ceased counting. See now that this is an abbreviated verse. This means, for there is no number. See now that the word... Okay, I don't know that word. But verse 50. Rashi. When the year of famine had not yet set in, from here we see that it is forbidden for a person to have marital relations during years of famine. And that is the third aliyah of the portion of Mikeitz. And that is with Rashi. And I will read now the daily wisdom on the third portion for Mikeitz, third aliyah. I just read chapter 41, verse 39 through 52, with Rashi on the Torah. All right, this is the daily wisdom of the Parshiot by the Lubavitch Rebbe. Joseph interpreted Pharaoh's dream to mean that grain should be stored away during the plentiful years for use during the famine years. Pharaoh was so impressed that he appointed Joseph viceroy of Egypt. The title of this daily wisdom on the Parshiot is called Kneeling versus Prostration. He had him ride in his second royal chariot, and they proclaimed before him, "Bend the knee." He was thus given authority over all Egypt. In ancient times, people would kneel on both knees to show submission before someone of authority. In order to show even greater submission, they would prostrate themselves. In kneeling, a person's head remains upright as he faces the authority figure, indicating that he retains a degree of selfhood. In prostration, however, his head is lowered to the authority figure's feet, indicating total selflessness. By kneeling to Joseph, the Egyptians spiritually submitted themselves to Joseph's level of divine consciousness. But whereas Joseph embodied absolute selflessness to God, the Egyptians could only attain whatever portion of Joseph's divine consciousness they were capable of sustaining. Therefore, they could only kneel to him, not prostrate themselves before him. In contrast, prostration, or at least the mention of prostration, is an integral part of our prayers. This means that we are capable of attaining the highest levels of divine consciousness, and are then called upon to submit ourselves totally to its implications. This total submission to God enables us to actualize our divine potential in the fullest way. That is the daily wisdom reading on the Parshiot of Mikeitz and reading of Rashi on Mikeitz. Have a wonderful day, guys. All right.